בשעה טובה. בפרק י' פסוק כ"א. שפתי צדיק, the lips of the tzaddik, יראו רבים. אוקיי? מלשון רואה. They guide, they direct the Rabbim, the Tzibur, right? The crowd. בחסר לב ימותו. ואווילים בחסר לב ימותו. But the fools will die with an empty heart. So the Gaon says the following, in continuation of yes.
Ask a question.
Of the tzaddik that we spoke about in last year, yes.
Is there a reason that Shlomo Melech is not saying aval in between these positives and negatives?
It's poetic.
It's because of
but the word aval is an extra
understood.
Word. Yeah, vada it's understood. It's in a poetic form. It's proverbs, yeah. So it has it's the signon, the style, yeah. So says the Gaon as follows. We've addressed how the tzaddik, there's two types of tzaddikim, right? The tzaddik that teaches halacha versus the tzaddik that teaches musar, and how, yeah, that if you do it right, not only that you have all the crowd that goes from the tzaddik that teaches halacha to the tzaddik that teaches musar. Why? Because everybody, even the ones that learn halacha, at the end they need the musar also. Yeah. And that depends on what, like we say, and we addressed it and we spoke about it, about chinuch and how that applies to us in the chinuch, right? It has to be kesef nihar, pure kesef, meaning you have to do it the right way. I just had a hidush just now about kesef. Kesef is a gematria 160, right? Chaf 20, Samech 60, that's 80, and Pe is 80, that's 160. Nachon? If you take the Shem of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yud Ke Vav Ke, we'll do it together. Yeah, Yud Zeh is how much? 10 times 5 is 50. Yes, and He times Yud is also 50, right? That's 100. That's the Yud and the He, which are the Mohin. Now let's do the Vav and the He. Vav 6 times 5 is how much? 30. And 5 times 6 is 30, 160. The Shem Hashem is in the Kesef. You have Yud Ke Vav Ke in Kesef. You understood? You want me to do it again? It just snapped in my head. You want me to say it again or no?
So how many times Shem Hashem to be in Kesef?
Oh, it's okay, but it's if you do the Chokhmah times the Bina and the Bina times the Chokhmah and Chasadim times the Malchut and the Malchut times Chasadim, so you do Yud multiplied by He and He multiplied by Yud, and then you do Vav multiplied by He and He multiplied by Vav, Gematria 160.
And what does it mean that
נחשפה וגם קלטה נפשי, נחשפה וגם קלטה נפשי, the kesef is לשון נחשף, right? You get closer, you get exposed, you get right, you get attached, you get pulled in, right? Meaning that with and we see that with the kesef, or you do good things, or alenu, it destroys you, right? And we find that the kesef also has a very important place in the Avodat Hashem, in the Torah. If you know how to use your kesef with the Shem Hashem in it, when you have the Shem Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei in your money, that's when you have the beracha. That's when kesef has beracha. You just popped this second, huh? Fresh out of the oven. Now, and because we're talking about kesef and it's okay. So says the Gaon as follows. So I have something else about the Kruvim, but we're not going to. The pasuk says, "Eloi kesef lo ta'asu lecha, lo ta'aseh lecha." You should not make gods made out of silver. Yes, the Mechilta writes there, of silver you cannot, but of gold you can. It's the Kruvim, right? Meaning that you cannot shift Elohek, the Elokut, into kesef, because that would mean that if you're shifting, you're taking kesef, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, and you're turning it into an Eloka, which is Elokim, which is the Teva, the nature, right? So you're taking Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is above nature, controls nature, and you want to you want to restrict it to kesef, to Elokut, which is the Teva. Anyways, that's just par for the. Forget it. It's just for myself. Okay, so Siftei Tzadikim Yeru Rabim. The lips of the mouth of the tzaddikim, the lips of the tzaddikim, of the righteous, right? Yeru milashon ro'eh, it's on like shepherd, right? It sustains the rabbim, the crowd. It guides the rabbim, the public. The Gaon says, who does Shlomo HaMelech refers when he says to rabbim? He says, rabbim, who are called rabbim? The Gdolim, the Talmidei Chachamim. They are called rabbim. So he says, Shlomo HaMelech is coming to tell us that the tzaddik, not only does the one that teaches Musar and with the proper way, and he rebukes the proper way, like we spoke in last shiur. Not only, yes, will he be an influence on the Amcha, on the regular people, but even the Gedolim, even the Talmidei Chachamim, they go after him. They listen to him. Why? Because they understand that his musar, they understand that his teachings are pure. They understand that his rebuke are coming from the right place, from a kesef nakif, right? From kesef nifhar, from the chosen silver. And therefore what? Therefore them also. Ratzim acharav sheyehi madricham. They run after him so that he can guide them. This is the power of a musar that is pure, of guidance that is pure. That there's no, it breaks any levels or boundaries of knowledge, of chokhmah or mastering of Torah. V'dai that the tzaddik has the Torah, kamuvan, yes? Because how can he rebuke and how can he teach without Torah? But what it means is that it doesn't only touch a certain level. It will touch anybody. Why? Because of his purity, because of its integrity. The evilim, bechasar lev yamutu, yes, the fools will die with an empty heart. Says the Gaon, the fools, at the end, they are considered like reshaim. Why? Because they have access to that source of chokhmah, they have access to that source of chizuk, and they don't tap into it. They disregard it. So in its essence, they are reshaim. because they're destroying, like they're actively destroying a potential of growth by being disinterested. And why are they disinterested? Because they are hasrelev. They don't have motivation. They don't have. They're not. They just don't care. They just don't care. Therefore, they will die because of that carelessness. The fact that they're careless and they're uninterested will make them die like that, empty. So b'chasar lev yamutu. Yes, that emptiness, that carelessness is what will make them die, because they're not on the right path, because they're not influenced. They're drifting always in the wrong direction, right? And the averot will only lead them to a dark path, and that will lead to death. Yeah. Stani, don't worry. It's actually the first time that we're talking about this since maybe two prakim. Don't get nervous. It's actually all beautiful. It's a lot of hizuk. So says the Gaon, a beautiful message, and a powerful message, that we have access to tzaddikim. We have access, Be'ezrat Hashem, we should have access to a Torah, to a musar that is pure. Yes? And we must take advantage of it. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are or how much you think you know. Because if the knowledge comes from a pure heart, from a pure place, and the rebuke and the musar is well presented, well introduced, well delivered, yes, you can only grow from it. And the flip side of it is that if you can have access to it and you don't, then you are considered a rasha, because you're auto-destructive. Pasuk Kavbet. This pasuk is clear, straightforward. Birkat Hashem hita ashir. The blessing of Hashem is what enriches a person. Velo yosif etzev ima, and he will not add etzev, sadness, with it. This is a very interesting pasuk. The Gaon first addresses the definition of etzev. Etzev, milashon atzuv, to be sadness, but he says it can be toil also, toiling, right? Says the Gaon, it has savon has toiling or sadness or distress, can mean two things. Lashon tirha, or it can mean lashon de'aga. Okay? So it could be a hustle, a burden, okay? Or de'aga, lashon doeg. To be concerned, to be always, to be concerned, to be worried. So sadness, the essence of sadness, yes, can manifest itself because of hassle, of a burden, of some heaviness, or because of being concerned and worried. And he says, in this context, the segula, okay, for concern, and the segula for a hassle is marbe nechasim. If you have too many assets, like Chachamim says, marbe nechasim, marbe deaga. If you have a lot of assets, you have a lot of deaga, you have a lot of concerns. That's kadarko shel olam. Whoever owns a lot of assets, by default, they will have with it, it comes with it, yes, tircha, it comes with it hassle, and it comes with it concerns. However, a person might say, okay, so that means that you can never really make money and grow wealth, right? He said, no. Comme Shlomo HaMelech, he says, Birkat Hashem ita'ashir. You need the bracha of Hashem to be enriched, to get rich. Why? Because when it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu that decides to bless you and make you rich, the person is enriched by the actual beracha. And that enrichment, that blessing, right, of wealth, if it's really a blessing, it comes without tircha. It comes without concern and without too much hustle. And he brings like the pasuk says, "Velo Yosif," okay? "Velo Yosif etzev ima." That's the Shlomo HaMelech tells us that when you have Birkat Hashem, the bracha of Hashem is really what makes you rich, not the amassing of assets. And number two, and you want to know how it's Birkat Hashem, because there's no etzev with it. You're growing financially, your wealth without deagot, without headaches, without hustles. Says the guy, not only yes.
Do you know someone like that?
I was just gonna ask.
It's a good question. Yeah, me. You don't have hustle. You don't have headache. No, you're not everybody has wealth because of Birkat Hashem. Today, the wealth became a status, not specific, not specifically a bracha. Yeah. Here, what is this? I mean, Shlomo Melech is telling us the following. He's telling us, no, it's not. Your question comes because you look at the situation from outside, looking at it already rich, right? And what it takes a person to become rich. Yes. So to become rich, you need to work hard. Yes, and you need to toil, and as you grow your assets, headaches come in. Like, and that's for sure. But yes, what Shlomo HaMelech comes and tells us, the Gaon says, is that the real ashirut, yes, the definition of the ashirut is not defined by what you own, but by the effect what you own has on you. That's the ashir. Yes, wealth again. Wealth is not defined by what you own, but by the impact what you own has on you. That's how you know if you have beracha or not.
What specific impact?
The impact of tircha and de'aga.
This is for a major clip in the social media.
Exactly what I was thinking. This is incredible.
That one would have like boom.
Yeah. Should I repeat it in a nicer way? Let me.
It's recorded. It's
No,
recorded.
I'm joking. No, okay. Now he goes more and explains. He says by the bracha that the person gets from HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the wealth that comes without de'aga and without tircha, he says the person it goes so far that the person can sit in his house, yoshev beveto beshalva, in peace and harmony. והקדוש ברוך הוא יברך אותו בכל מעשי ידיו, and הקדוש ברוך hu will bless him in everything that he does. Meaning, if your wealth allows you to be beyeshuv da'at, to be beshalva, that's the bracha, to be beshalva, to be in harmony and peace with yourself. If you have that, then you know that you have beracha. And at this point, your wealth grows, even if you're at home. What does it mean? You're not that you're not working, but you are not a slave to your own work. And in the Kitvei Yad, the Gaon expands on the idea. He says you have two types of wealthy people. You have someone that travels the world and makes deals. Ashir Gadol, a very wealthy person. However, he doesn't have no day and no night. Why? Because he's a slave of his own operation. And he always has to be on top of his assets. So he's always concerned. Like, and he says that's the definition of marbe nechasim, marbe de'aga. When you build your wealth on the nechasim, when you build your wealth based on ownership, on assets, marbe de'aga, then you will have de'agot, you will have concerns. But when you build your wealth on the blessing of Hashem, all those concerns disappear. And the beracha, says the Gaon in the Kitvei Yad, sheyoshev b'shalom, the osher is in his house, meaning from his house he builds his osher. His wealth is built from his home. What does it mean from his home? From his ecosystem, from his environment, from his seder hayom, from who he is, not the other way around. So now he has a makom for the bracha to bichal, for the bracha to reside. And now the bracha itself is what making him wealthy, not the assets. It's a deep concept. Very deep concept. Yes? Are you wealthy? Are you becoming wealthy because you run after the assets? Or are you are you working on the Birkat Hashem, and the Birkat Hashem is making you wealthy?
Rav, is it similar to the Sugya and Masechet Berachot, where it talks about why the Rishonim were more successful than the later generations? And it says because they made the Torah keva and their work secondary. And they were successful in both. So Hashem's beracha reached them and made them successful, rather than the toil that made them successful.
Absolutely. It's exactly the same concept. It's exactly the same concept. It's what comes first. What is priority and what's secondary. So when you make your home, when you make your bait, okay, when your home is the ikar, meaning when your essence is the ikar, okay, birkat Hashem. That's how you get the birkat Hashem. And the birkat Hashem ta'ashir. Yes. One phone call, one little investment, one shidur, one idea, and it rolls. At the end, where are you holding? You're still home. You're still in your makom. When you flip things around, yes, that's when there will be ashirut. Yes, you will be successful, but there's a price to pay. And it's midah keneged midah. Because you put the wealth before the home. So when you have the wealth, you have no home. Even if you think you have a home, you have no home. That's the tirda and the tircha. But when you put the home before the wealth, the home will bring you the barakah that brings you the wealth. So the wealth is built on the home. And what is the home? Is the structure of a person. His structure is Seder Hayom, his Torah, is the Chinuch, the Shalom Bayit. Yeah, that's the home of an individual. Now says the Gaon in the Kitvei Yad, maybe it's possible that the Ashirut, the wealth that you get from the Beracha, quantitatively is less than the wealth that you get from the assets. But the benefits you get from the Beracha are tremendous compared to the benefits you get from the wealth you get from the assets.
The difference of if the beracha reaches you or not. You could have beracha, but it could not reach you.
What do you mean?
You could have money.
Yeah, money, yes. Now here
Right.
there's a major difference between bracha and money in this pasuk, right? It's not that, that's the point. Bracha is not money, but bracha brings you money.
It's the vessel.
Sorry, money is not beracha, but bracha brings you money. Maybe that's another one for the social media, Andy. Money is not a blessing, but when you're blessed, you make money.
And vice versa.
Yes.
It would be lo aleinu.
נכון. השם ישמור, yeah. Asani, you were talking about the Gemara in Lamed Bet Amud Bet, right? Yeah. So you were mechaven to the Gaon. That's exactly what the Gaon now says. It wants to about. Yeah. The Gaon now says that's exactly what Shlomo HaMelech is addressing. That's the level of bracha. Le'uk megirsa siyata dishmaya min shemaya. That the Chachamim, they were, because they were bigger Hasidim, right? Their Torah was kept, and then because their Torah was retained, melachtan mitbarechet, their work will get blessed. That's what you're referring to. Not only that, so again, and Zachita Astani to be mechaven lagaon. That's called neshika, because you're learning the Gemara. He says that's called yishakeni mineshikot piu. Isn't that amazing? Right? It would have been a day earlier. It would have been different. Yes, that's Torah lishma. Torah lishma. Ashrecha.
My rabbi told me to find somebody to learn with in the morning.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. So the Gaon adds and says the following. He says, when when you have Chassidut, זה לעשות דברים לפנים משורת הדין. You do more than you're expected. From within, yes. The tzaddik does what he has to do. The chassid does a little bit more. He wants to grow. He says not only that your work yields beracha and your work gets blessed, but you do less and get more, which is the biggest beracha.
Sorry, can you go over that part of Chesed again?
The chassid, Stanley is referring to Gemara in Lamed Bet in Brachot, yes? That what? Because the Hasidim Rishonim, because they were Hasidim, right? So their Torah Mishtameret, what they learned, they kept. They were able to retain. They had Siyata Dishmaya, that what they learned, they remembered. Better and faster and clearer than other generations that were less Hasidim than them. And not only that, but any work they would do, it would be blessed. It's like Yosef HaTzadik. Yeah. He had the, yes. Yeah, he had, you know, whatever he did, Hashem Matzliach. So, says the Gaon, there is another dimension of that beracha, is that now, because you are a Hasid with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you don't need to do the full effort. It's enough that you do a little bit and everything gets done for you. Just the same way, midah keneged midah. What you were supposed to do for Hashem, you did more. So you've sacrificed more of yourself than is expected. So midah keneged midah, now you're going to have to do less and get more. You understand? When you go and, for example, and this b'didei ve'uvda, this I saw it. I see it with my own life. Okay, and you know, you give precious hours of your time where you can learn, when you can enjoy, and you spend it with people. You say this one has this issue, this one has that issue, this one wants to talk, this one wants to vent, this one, yeah. You could say, okay, I just heard you 3 hours of people. You know what I can do in 3 hours? You know what I can write in 3 hours? The Hidushim. But no, you do it. There's a chesed. Now you do chesed. You sit and you learn. What would take you 3 hours to learn? You learn it in 15 minutes. And I saw that Siyata Dishmaya when I was in the Kollel, when I was giving shiurim in the Kollel. Yes. There was bracha. You know what took a week or two to the Avrechim to learn, I would learn it maybe in a day, in 2 days. And the Avrechim would go crazy. Like, I don't understand, you were in Chutz La'aretz for 10 days, you just came back. You started Sugiyah, and you're able to give a shiur, and we've been breaking our head for a week. It has nothing to do, it's not that you're Chacham or you're blessed Chacham at all. It has nothing to do with that. It's exactly what, it's Birkat Hashem Ita'ashir. Yes? Now, with a little bit of effort, you get Beracha. You pick up. But what does it take? It takes you to be a Chassid. It takes you to do Chesed. It takes you to have emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you're not giving up anything. You're not losing on anything. If you understand that you're not losing when you do Chesed, you pick up much more. Tenfold you pick up. That's the Gemara in Baba Batra. You're not in Baba Batra yet, Stanley. Yeah, but that's also compared to the Gemara in Baba Batra. Also, that's to this one. That's Mayam Novea. That it's like your spring that just brings out more and more and more and more. The bracha starts tofeach hamena latfiach, like the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat says. You're so imbibed with the bracha that everything around you gets blessed. And in the Torah, when you learn, not only that you learn and you understand, you remember, and you don't have to be yagia. You don't have like velo yosif etzev imah. You don't have to toil to learn it and to get to it.
It's so interesting though, because the Torah tells us everywhere that you have to cut your teeth and you have to toil for Torah in order to acquire it, and then all of a sudden you get the key to on how not to toil.
That's called That's called yagata umatzata. Nachon. If you have to be miyagia the Torah if you're learning it and you sit and there's nothing else. But when you have to close the sefer because of an obligation, because of the chesed, because of something that when you're mitchased, yes, then the Torah chozeret. The Torah comes, Kadosh Baruch Hu himself comes, right, and gets involved. Hashem says, okay, you sacrifice yourself for me. Now you're coming, you're sitting, learning. I'm going to come with you. I'm going to help you. And the Torah was given like this. Chachamim tell us it's Inyanei Deyoma, this week's parasha. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu went and learned Torah for 40 days. Chachamim tell us he would learn and forget, learn and forget, learn and forget, learn and forget. On the 40th day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, Bo ata ve'ani ve'nomar. Come, you and I will talk. Chachamim tell us, what is it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu downloaded in Moshe Rabbeinu the entire Torah in a second. Yagata for 39 days, and you were shokheach, you will forget it. Now, you sacrifice yourself for me, now I'm going to give it to you. In a moment, he gave him the entire Torah that was never forgotten. Now, the question is, how much are you willing to sacrifice yourself to get to that level? Moshe sacrificed himself for 39 days. Now, put yourself a little bit in Moshe's place, yeah? You have the Bnei Israel down there waiting for you. Yes? Pressure. Yes? You never wanted the job. Kadosh Baruch Hu forced you. Okay, I'm in. Now he tells you, come, I'm going to teach you Torah. You come. One full day of Limud Torah. At the end of the day, okay, so what did you learn? You come, you sit. Okay, let's make a sikum. I don't know where to start. I forgot everything. Okay, tomorrow. Tomorrow again. Learning. At the end of the day, okay, let's make sikum. Nada, nothing. 39 days. Ask me, I wouldn't last 4 or 5 days. What is it? 39 days. And it's Moshe Rabbeinu. On the 40th day, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave it to him. Everything at once.
What changed?
Oh, what's changed is that it takes 40 days for the Yeridat Avlad, Yetzirat Avlad. Yes, like we learned it in the Mem Rabati of Mishlei. It takes 40 days for the nature to change. Yes, well, after 40 days, Chachamim tell us that he canceled the influence of his body completely. He became like mamash, like an angel. None of the physical nature or influence had an impact on him anymore. What does that mean? He canceled himself. He understood that it's not about me. There's nothing. Yeah. If I'm going to receive the Torah, it's only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And nothing else. There's no buffer. There's no interference. As long as there was part of the physical aspect of Moshe, he couldn't retain the Torah. The moment it all canceled out, it all came down. Yeah. And that's the same thing with Emunah. As long as you think maybe this or maybe that, I think you're holding to something that's chobri, or something that's physical, the download cannot come. It's only once. Again, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Yeah. The Ezri, the help of HaKadosh Baruch Hu come from the ayin, when there's nothing left. Yes? From emptiness. How many times do we see this? Yes. You try, you hit walls. It's when that's it. You're like, that's it. Yeshuat Hashem ke'erefaim. I can only depend on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then the Yeshua comes. In Parnasa, in Refuah, in Zivug. En lanu al mi leisha'en Elai lavinu b'shamayim. There's nobody you can lean and rely on but HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's when you're at that level that you invite HaKadosh Baruch Hu to start, getting involved. And when he gets involved, then the beracha kicks in. That's Birkat Hashem. It's Hashem himself that's blessing. It doesn't say beracha hitashir, the beracha makes you rich. No, Birkat Hashem, when Hashem blesses you. So you have to invite Hashem. How do I invite Hashem? By showing him that I'm sacrificing for him more than is expected of me. I trust you, and this is what is expected. This is what I'm facing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu now sees that I invite him, so he comes in. That's when the Hashem coming into your life is the beracha. And the outcome, ashirut, wealth, physical wealth, Torah wealth, depending on what you're defining your wealth. The Talmidei Chachamim define their wealth in Torah, right? A Talmid Chacham, what's his wealth? It's his knowledge, it's his Torah. So he sacrifices his time instead of what? Instead of sitting and learning, right? The moment he picks up, the download kicks in. You sacrifice your time for chesed, for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, instead of going and doing parnasa. You go back to work, boom. One phone call, everything is done. That's called beracha. That's called siyata dishmaya. Birkat Hashem hita ashir. The definition of ashirut, of wealth, is the bracha of Hashem. Is not your assets. It's not what you acquire. Maybe, again, the Gaon says, maybe in quantity you're right, but definitely in quality you're wrong. Because what you acquire in quantity comes with a heavy price. Tirha and de'aga. It comes with toil, with hustle and concerns and issues. It aligns very well also. This is what Purim is all about. Yes, Purim is giving up of your clothes, giving up of your ideology, giving up of what you think you know, and relying on HaKadosh Baruch Hu 100%. That's why it's called Purim. We said it. Why is it called Purim and not Chag Megillah, Chag Mordechai ve'Esther? Why is it called Chag Purim? Pur is a lottery. The lottery, by definition, you don't do nothing, and you can get that if you win, you didn't win because of you. Yes, it's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Purim is understanding that it's all in the hands of Hashem. Now, to get to that, if you really believe it's all in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, mitzvah when the mitzvah comes, you have to do it. But no, let me be a heshbon. Let me start thinking. Kal v'chomer. That's what Shaul did. Shaul made kat v'chomer with the flocks and the animals of Amalek, and it cost him the malchut, that he lost the royalty. He kept Amalek alive, and we're dealing with Amalek until today. If he would have cut and finished with Amalek, the throne of HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have been completed, and Mashiach would have come. Meaning, because of let me think and let me analyze a moment. Yes, that's when the Amalek kicks in. We're not saying that we shouldn't think, but when you start making a heshbon, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks you to do something, but you're too busy. When is Hashem asking me to do something? What do you mean? There's a mitzvah that just came. The time for Kriyat Shema came. Hashem asked you to do something. The time of min hakem. Hashem asks you to do something. You go to call for chesed. Hashem asks you to do something. Somebody knocks on your door for chesed, for tzedakah. It's not that person. Hashem is telling you, I need you to do something right for me. 1 minute. Let me see. Let me calculate. Let me see if I get it. I'll get back to you in a second. In 1 moment. Okay, no problem. אתה tzaddik. You're a tzaddik. No problem. Yes, it's tzidkut. Yes, but that's defined. That's a very defined pathway. Beracha is what? Is expansion, right? Is benefiting from something that you didn't work for. That's beracha. Is enjoying the benefits of efforts that were minimal. If you invest 100 and you're supposed to make 100, that's not beracha. But if you invest 100 and you make 10,000 and you were supposed to make 100, that's beracha. That's beracha. So the Torah, the Shlomo HaMelech tells Birkat Hashem ita'ashir, that when you actually invest in the Birkat Hashem, that's what makes you wealthy. That's what makes you a rich man. And how do you invest again? You have to invest in the Birkat Hashem, in the Baracha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Invest in your relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That brings the Baracha.
Spectacular.
Bezrat Hashem, okay, so that's for Isukim Kaf Aleph and Kaf Bet. Bezrat Hashem.
Dan, you
And by
can
the way, not only that you benefit from the beracha, but you also benefit of the fact that you don't have hassles and headaches.
So Rav, leave us with something to think about on how do we do that on Purim? What's the Chassidut level of Purim? Because we know all the obligations.
No, so yes. So okay, the concept of Purim is kol poshet yad. Whoever extends his hand, you have to give, right?
Yes.
So that also, think about it. Kol poshet yad. Now comes a guy. Now you know he's not so worthy. He's not so worthy. But כתוב כל הפושט יד. כל הפושט יד. Anyone that extends, that doesn't mean that you have to give what they ask, but you have to give every time. What does that come to tell you? To cancel what? Your evaluation of things. Yes? That's all Purim. Why do we drink? To downgrade our assessment of the situation until right? Ben what? Between what? That you don't know if it's Baruch Aman or Arur Mordechai. You can no longer make your own assessments. So what do you have to do? You have to rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm all yours. I'm all yours. This is what Purim is. And you do it besimcha. Kimu vekiblu. You have to accept this Torah besimcha. You have to be happy not to be in control. But that doesn't mean there's no one in control. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in control. And that's what makes you happy. You're happy that Hashem is in control. If nobody's in control, not you and not HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is a formula for chaos. We're not talking about that. That's tipshut. But you have to be able to elevate yourself to be happy that you want Hashem to be in control. That's Birkat Hashem. Invite Him. Invite Hashem in your life. And that's how you get rid of Amalek. That's how you get rid of Amalek Zasafek. That's how you get rid of the doubts. That's how you get rid of the Tzimtzum. That's how you get rid of Haman. That's how you get rid of Hashverosh, of the Kavod. You don't want ego consuming your life. You don't want doubts and trouble getting to you. Give of your invite HaKadosh Baruch Hu in your life. Don't try to be too much in control. Now, like we said, you have an obligation of a sechel, yes? But to what cheshbon? Until when? Until HaKadosh Baruch Hu asks you to do something. Until mitzvah ba'al yadcha. Al tahmid sena. Don't bring the chametz in. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu infuses your life and your actions with His beracha. And the outcome, Hita Ashir. That's all Purim. That's what Purim is all about. The nifla, that this pasuk specifically today, right, is so aligned with the message of Purim. So this is the avodah. This is the avodah of tomorrow. And like I said, today, we have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we have to be very specific. Hashem, like David HaMelech said, like we said in the Tehillim, Stanley, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I need A, B, C, I need to be healthy, I need to be strong, I need wealth, I need clarity, I need chen. Why? Because with all this is what I'm going to do with my health. This is what I'm going to do with my wealth. This is what I'm going to do with my mind. This is what I'm going to do with my chen. This is how I'm going to impact and serve you. This is the tefillot of today.
Is there an Eder Hatzon of today?
All day.
All day.
All day.
Wow.
All day. All day is at Ratzon today. כמובן tomorrow, but today, all day is at Ratzon. טוב. שיהיה סייעתא דשמיא, פורים שמח, פורים של התעלות, פורים של ברכה, של נשיאת חן, פורים שהקדוש ברוך הוא יקבל תפילותינו, ישפיע ברכות הרפואה, ברכות של חיים, ברכות של ברכה, של סייעתא דשמיא. בעזרת השם, זה שיעור איז לרפואה שלמה של חיים רפאל בן פרידה. בעזרת השם.
אמן. אמן.
בכור בן מזל. בעזרת השם, רפואה שלמה ואריכות ימים ושנות חיים. בן שרה. בברכה ובהצלחה בעזרת השם.
אמן.
אמן.
טוב.
Are you home tomorrow?
I'm home. We start at 10 until 1, 2 o'clock. I start at 10 בעזרת השם until about 1, 2 o'clock. ברוכים הבאים. פורים שמח, love you guys.
פורים שמח.
חזק, ברוכים תהיו.